This is the Out of Time Film Podcast, where your hosts Tom and John discuss everything from blockbuster films to TV and games like there's no tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to the Out of Time Film Podcast. I'm Tom.
I'm John.
And this week we are talking about Sonic 3. We have waited so many months.
We are finally here to talk about Sonic 3. I have to say, this might be the most anticipated film of the year. Question for you, Tom. Did you think this was the last film in the Sonic franchise? I know we got that announcement for Sonic 4, but did you get like that feeling it was going to be the last thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, franchises love capping it with that number 3, don't they? And so I was very much like, yeah, no, this could be. But then earlier this year we got Knuckles, the TV show, which we did do an episode on. And that show kind of told me that they want to take this further. And I could see them continuing to make spin-offs and try different things. Obviously, apart from Sonic 4, we don't actually know what is next. But it seems to me like they really want to make this a big franchise rather than just a one-and-done trilogy. Which I think, yeah, like, it's one of the better video game adaptations. And so I'd much rather do more of this than more like Borderlands, for instance. Sorry to remind you of Borderlands.
Oh my God, Borderlands. I mean, we had some video game adaptations this year, but Borderlands was not it. No. It's nice to have a Sonic film. We absolutely loved Sonic 2. One of those films that we loved the comedy. There was one amazing scene in that film, the wedding scene, which was cinema. Absolutely loved that. So yeah, and then this year, which was surprising to me, was that there was so many people that went to see this film. Me and Tom went to see Sonic 3, and there was so many people in the cinema. This was packed. And I was like, wow, this is getting popular. Because I thought many people didn't like Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. So it was interesting to go into that experience and see if people were just there for the memes. Because there was a lot of memes surrounding this with Shadow. But this one was good. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I think each film has gotten more popular. I think a lot of people were surprised by the first one, but not blown away. I think the pandemic really helped that film because it was on streaming and a lot of kids were watching it. And so it built an audience that then allowed us to go further in Sonic 2. And obviously things from the games help, like you add in Knuckles, you give us the Chaos Emeralds and a big Robotnik mech in that film. And obviously Tails was teased at the end of the first film. And then the second one teases Shadow, which is a big part of this film. And we also bring in Gerald Robotnik. And each time we're adding more and more stuff from the Sonic lore, and the audience is growing each time. So I think this film absolutely will be a success. We're recording this on opening weekend, so we don't actually know the stats yet.
Yes.
But I think it's safe to say that this film will do well. It's going up against Mufasa, the Lion King, but I genuinely don't know how it can't do better. I mean, obviously Disney will always bring in a fairly big audience, but the reactions compared from Sonic and Mufasa have been night and day. And so I do think this one's going to do really well. So yeah, it's been 2 years since Sonic 2, a few months since Knuckles. We're back, Team Sonic. They're all happy, having a happy life. And this film introduces Shadow, who has been on Earth for 50 years and just wakes up and is out for revenge against the government organization that forced him into this kind of tragic life. And as well, we see the return of Robotnik, Jim Carrey playing both Ivo Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik, his grandfather. And so we got a lot of new elements in this one. We've got a lot of old stuff as well. What were your thoughts?
First thing that blew me away was Shadow, because Shadow is one of my favorite characters in the Sonic universe. Oh my God, we were so excited when there was that teaser for Shadow at the end of Sonic 2. We were just like, oh my God, he's here. And it was like Ultimate Super Smash Bros. Character reveals. It was just like, oh my God, this is your character. So yeah, Shadow was the best part of this movie. He had such a tragic backstory full of vengeance and rage, and he didn't know how to exactly avenge Maria. By the way, there was something that was concerning. It was like, oh my God, the meme when people are saying like they will laugh or cheer when Maria dies. I don't know what the full context is. It's a thing. I was like, oh my God, I hope nobody cheers. And I see you, Tom. You just look around, you're like confused, like, why is everyone cheering for this poor girl to die or something?
Thankfully, it was all right. I mean, like, it was a packed cinema, and there were a lot of kids shouting and cheering and, you know, all that stuff throughout. You know, they were having the time of their life. You know, during the post-credit scene, there was 4 kids at the bottom who just lost their nut. They just
They were
they
just
really
screaming.
it's so cool how all three Sonic films end with a little I won't spoil it yet, but like they all three of them end with a little teaser of who we're going to be dealing with in the next one. Obviously, we had Tails, we had Shadow. We'll get into spoilers later, but I agree with you. Whenever this film is focusing on Shadow, it is by far the best of all three films. I absolutely loved everything with him and the tragedy surrounding him. There's a really brilliant cut to him at the beginning when somebody says to Sonic, or maybe Sonic himself says, like, oh, what would have happened to you if you didn't have your family? And we cut to Shadow walking in the rain in Tokyo. He feels so isolated in just kind of this sea of other people who tower over him. And I just thought that, wow, this is such a brilliant way to highlight, it's simple. It's not necessarily anything new, but I think what it is, it really works. And you feel that difference. And there are numerous scenes throughout that just absolutely nailed it. And I want to say that the direction in this film is so very good. Jeff Fowler has come back to direct all of these. He even directed a couple episodes of Knuckles. He just does a fantastic job. The action sequences feel so visceral, so alive. So much of it is animated, and I just think that he brings such like a weight to all of the moves. Shadow's big thing is his teleportation powers, and there are so many brilliant times when he will teleport, and there's one when he's fighting Knuckles and the camera's kind of moving up, like kind of like a bird's eye perspective, and he's punching Knuckles up and he's like teleporting up as well, and then he comes right into the forefront and punches him back down to the background. Really clever stuff, and it's not over edited. So much of it is done in single shots, and the editing feels important and not just like it's every few seconds. I thought it was so great and so energetic, which is what you want.
Yeah, and it had that fluidity. You didn't feel overwhelmed. And I think that's the best part about the Sonic franchise is that you get to follow something pretty simple, but you can easily get into it. You don't have to feel overwhelmed by so many editing. But yeah, I loved the fights in this movie. They were great. I have to say, there was one thing that kind of ruined the movie for me was one character in particular. Well, actually two. It was just Dr. Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik. They pulled so much off. Like it ruined the weight of the emotional core of the movie. Like there was something really interesting happening with Shadow all the way through. We were following him, we get to know him, but it was just Robotnik. I was about to say Robotnik 1 and 2, like something like Cat in the Hat. It's just a comedy that kind of just took away the most important things about Shadow. Why are we following him? And Jim Carrey, don't get me wrong, he's great, but it's just this that ruined the thing for me. And he's great at comedy, but I just want to follow more Shadow, please. I don't want to see more of the goofy things. I mean, sure, we have seen the goofy things throughout the Sonic universe. We've seen that in Wade. I was about to say Wade the Whipple show, but it's not. It's Knuckles the show.
Might as
Um,
well be the Wade Ripple show.
yeah.
Is it Ripple or Whipple?
Whipple.
Whipple. Okay.
Yeah, that's like the most important thing, the comedy, that's the most important thing in the Sonic universe, especially the wedding scene. That was funny as heck. That was great.
Yeah.
But this, no, it wasn't totally consistent all the way through. That was just so weird. You got Sonic that was trying to make the best of choices, but then went to a kind of a dark path. And then Shadow fueling up his vengeance, but then there's Robotnik, who's just, well, two Robotniks trying to hang out a day before they destroy Earth. It was like, whoa, okay, that was a bit of a weird whiplash just to go back and forth.
My biggest criticism back when we covered the first two films was Jim Carrey as Robotnik. I don't dislike the casting that much. It's just Jim Carrey is very good at a particular thing and he does a lot of it in the Sonic films. And for me, that's not really what I go to the films for. I don't really care about that. And so the more of that we get in each film, the more kind of tired I am. And again, the same with this one. It's by far the least interesting. And now we have two of them. And there are a couple of funny bits. There's a bit where they both dance through some lasers, and it's just so ridiculous. And it's just two Jim Carreys, and it's just like, what? What are we even watching? And they're both bald, and they both have big mustaches, and they're both wearing fat suits to a degree. And it's just like, wow. I did like that. And there's also a sequence, as you say, where they hang out, and like Gerald is Santa Claus. It's funny. It's funny.
It is funny.
But really, it's too goofy. It doesn't have the same emotional weight. If anything, the emotional weight is much better with Agent Stone and Ivo Robotnik, which obviously we have followed throughout the three films. But adding in Gerald, obviously, I know that he's in the games games. I know that they want to deepen that lore and kind of give a little bit more about Robotnik's backstory. In theory, that works. I just kind of feel that it didn't really add anything, and it was too comedic. It wasn't emotional enough. So when you get those emotional moments or attempted emotional moments, it doesn't really work. And I was disappointed by that, which is a real shame because I feel like the rest of the story, as I said earlier, is some of the best we've had in this trilogy. So they could have really deepened that a little bit, but
Yeah.
it just felt like more and more excuses for Jim Carrey to be goofy. They don't, like, at the beginning, just before we have his introductory scene, Tails says, wait, I thought Robotnik died, because obviously at the end of 2 he dies. They
Yeah.
never explain how he comes back. They never explain what the deal with that is. And again, it just kind of felt like we need an excuse to bring back Jim Carrey. Even Gerald gets Ivo to help him, but to me, Ivo wasn't important at all. It didn't feel like enough even of an emotional reason for the two of them to reunite. So yeah, I think from quite a few perspectives, I was pretty disappointed, especially when so much of the film, it felt like, the film's about 2 hours. So much of it relied on those two and their dynamic and their shenanigans.
Yeah, and there's a lot of characters that you might know from the Sonic universe as well. There was the couple from the first two that made a cameo in this. No, what did they? No, I keep forgetting names.
It's the two who get married. Like, they
Yes,
kind of have a little moment.
yes, Randall and Rachel. Yes, that's it. Right, that's it. Oh,
Yes.
Rachel. I loved it though. She was great.
I wish she was in it more. I feel like there's less humans in this film,
Yeah,
and
right.
I think that is a reaction to criticisms about the human characters in the first and second one. But at the same time, we have less humans and more Eggman. And so I feel like the balance is now way off. Like, I want less Eggman and more humans, please.
Yeah, Eggman is a weird choice for this film because Shadow is a great antagonist to use. But yeah, like there were so many characters in this, and you have to follow on what's going on. And we had this great discussion last night, walking back from the cinema about like the characters. And you said to me, Tom, you asked me, "Hey, who was that old guy? Who was that old man? You know?"
So the army commando, he's like the head
And
of gun.
and I said, "Oh, I think that's the old man from the first two Sonic films that gives the Olive
Hmm.
Garden cards out." And oh my God, really? Is it? And I was like, "No, it could be a different guy."
No, because, okay, spoilers now. Let's do spoilers. He dies very early on in the film, and he's like, Sonic, I want you to have this. And I just like to imagine that he pulls out an Olive Garden gift card, and he's like, please, before I die,
Yeah,
take my Olive Garden.
yeah.
They didn't
Oh
mention
my
it in this
God.
one, and I
No,
feel like it
he
was in the other
is.
two. Is he the same
He
guy?
is.
Oh my
Wait,
God.
no, he's in the first one, but I don't know if he's in the second one.
That's
Is he
cool. I like that idea. I like the idea of kind of bringing him back, even though I didn't remember him, but giving them a little bit of continuity. It's like, in Mission Impossible, every film until 5, it's a different head of the IMF.
Yes.
It's all these different actors every single time, and it kind of feels a little bit disjointed. But if you have something like this where there are consistent supporting characters, it is cool. So I guess another big spoiler that we can kind of talk about is both Ivo and Gerald Robotnik meet their demise in this film. They both seemingly die. And one thing I do like about Robotnik is that each film he becomes more like Robotnik, Eggman that we know in the games. In the first one, he's got the hair and he's very slimmed down. In the second one, you lose the hair, he's got a bigger mustache and he's a bit fatter. And in the third one, he is the most Eggman that we have seen yet. Now, do you
Yeah.
think Ivo specifically is dead for good? Do you think he's coming back again?
He is coming back. I feel like he
Oh,
is.
oh,
Because
good.
we saw Eggman die twice now. This is something that happened in Sonic 2, and now we've gone to here. So I feel like
Oh.
somehow Eggman returned.
He's like Dr. Evil.
He's
Oh my
like
God,
he
he's
just come out of
back.
nowhere. He's back. You know that Dr. Stone just like
Yes,
he's back.
yes.
Yeah, so you'll come back one way or another. Maybe come out like some dimension. You'll be coming back for something. Did you remember there was that theory when Eggman traveled to Mario's world with the
Because he
mushrooms?
was in the mushroom dimension. That's
Morty.
interesting. I wonder if they'll ever do a crossover because it's very different worlds, but obviously there is an animated element.
Mario and Sonic Olympic Games.
Yo, we're so
Yo.
back. No, it's interesting because the first film starts in Green Hills, the original like Sonic universe, and we
Mm.
get hints to that throughout. But what's interesting to me is that we're 3 films in and we still haven't gone back or explored any of the other kingdoms or dimensions or whatever. Are they ever gonna do that? Obviously, we have Sonic 4 coming, and they seem very committed to sticking with Earth. But I wonder, are they ever going to do something else? Because this, I guess the big thing we go to this time is we go to London town, baby. We go to
London. Yeah.
classic British weather.
Yes.
And Knuckles smashes one of the faces of Big Ben because, of course. And we
Yeah.
get a big sequence in space and all, but like it feels to me like we've done a lot in Earth. We've done your American suburbia, we've done the UK, we've done Tokyo, we've done numerous different kind of, there's like a jungle setting in two, there was a kind of snowy setting, maybe they could do a desert or something, but we're running out of biomes, basically. I wonder if they are ever going to actually take that step outside and explore more of this universe. At the end of this film, the big tease for the next one is we have a Mecha Sonic, which is what the kids in the cinema went crazy over.
They're like,
And
oh my
yeah,
God.
they were like, "What?" It was, yeah, it was amazing to see them so thrilled about something. And then Amy, which also got a lot of people excited as well. But obviously now we need to know their backstory as well. And so you got to think at some point, are we going to leave, or is it going to be the fate of the world again? Because we've done this quite a lot. The first film was very small stakes. The second film was pretty big. The third film is like everyone's going to die. Even the robotniks are going to die. And so, yeah, I'm curious, what are they going to do to make the settings more interesting and the action as well? I love the Tokyo bike sequence. There's a great bit where Shadow Akira slides up a building. Really cool.
Love that.
But yeah, but like we've had city chases before. How many times can we do it before we think, okay, let's go somewhere else? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's the case of what are they going to do for more. I mean, Shadow at the end, he's revealed he's alive.
Yep.
So again, there's going to be possibilities that we're going to see for this. So I'm intrigued to see where this takes us. I know there are different antagonists in the Sonic universe, but I think it's mainly Eggman all the way through. I know there's more.
Even from a marketing perspective, why wouldn't they bring back Jim Carrey as Eggman? I know that he's retired or whatever, but you said that if the script is written in gold dust, and that is that's Sonic apparently.
And also, didn't he say he was done with making sequels? And he came
Oh
back
yeah,
for like
probably.
Sonic
But
making
I think he
sequels.
has a great time with it. Like he gets to
He
just do a
does.
bunch of wacky stuff, and you gotta respect it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's still going with this. He's very passionate about it.
Maybe Agent Stone will be a villain in some capacity.
That
I don't know if
that
that's necessarily what he wants, but who knows? I did really enjoy that level of, in the final moments, Robotnik finally acknowledged that true love, true love was there all along, and it was Agent Stone. That's really great. That's really, really sweet.
oh,
And there are some really, really sweet moments in this film. There's great heartfelt stuff with Sonic and his family. I really enjoyed, again, that kind of contrast between him and Shadow. There's a scene where they
yes.
talk on the moon, and that's the big moment for Shadow to realize that his pain doesn't have to define him. And it's a moment for Sonic to forgive Shadow, because Shadow inadvertently really badly wounds Tom. And that's a big moment because, like, in the other films, the human characters, they're in danger, but they're safe. They never get, like, properly injured. So to see him actually get rushed to hospital, that is a big moment, and it's what kind of takes Sonic off the edge a little bit. Then we get Shadow and Sonic kind of having this heart to heart when they're sat on the moon, and they talk about their experiences, and Shadow thinks about his experiences with Maria, which throughout are really well done. And he talks about the stars and the last time he looked up at the stars, and I think it's really beautiful. Again, when this film is focusing on Shadow and that emotion, it really, really hits. I thought that was so. It reminded me of in Spider-Man 3 when Peter forgives the Sandman for everything he's done because Peter himself has done terrible things. I think that kind of stuff is always so great
It is
to
great.
witness. But yeah, I do wish that was so much more of the film. It felt to me like that was secondary to the onslaught of comedy.
Yeah, I think you could focus the comedy aspects from Sonic, but also from the human characters as well, because maybe there's more to like Shadow with the human characters, especially with Maria as well. So yeah, I think that was the strongest part of that movie, on the moon.
And Keanu Reeves does a great job as well.
He does excellent voice acting for this one. I know he did voice acting for Toy Story 4 as Duke Kaboom.
Duke Kaboom, baby!
Yeah, there we go. I was about
Hell
to say
yeah.
Duke
Hell
Nukem,
yeah.
which was like
Duke,
the
wait,
video
who's
game
Duke
character.
Nukem? Yeah, yeah, no, I've heard of him. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think all the cast in these films continue to be great.
Ben Schwartz, right, as Sonic, and then
Absolutely.
Tails. I think Tails is played by the actual voice actor, I think.
Yes, it's Colleen
Yes.
who has played Tails for years in games and shows and stuff, which
Knuckles,
is really cool. Idris Elba,
great.
of course. Yeah.
Elba, love Elba.
Even Jim Carrey, who is my least favorite part of these films, he knows the assignment.
Yeah.
He's being the goofy Eggman, and he sells the comedy very, very well. It's just not for me. I mean, if I'm completely honest right now, I thought Knuckles was a funnier story than this. I thought that
Yeah.
Wade and Knuckles were such a funny duo, and all the side characters in that, and the whole surrealist rock opera was
Yeah, I
hilarious.
agree.
That
Yeah.
was more funny than this. But there are places these films can go. Apart from 4, what do you want to see next? Like, is there a particular spin-off you want to... Well, I mean, I probably know the answer to that question.
Knuckles, more Knuckles. Yeah,
Yeah,
give us more
baby.
more Wade,
Make
actually.
Wade team up with different characters. So we can have
Yes.
Wade and Shadow, Wade and Tails.
I don't know why that goes so hard.
I
Wade
know.
and Shadow. Dude, dang. Okay. Okay.
They
Well, that'll
haven't
be
met
such a
yet.
huge contrast that.
I was reminded on Twitter that Wade and Tom have never shared a scene together. They've talked like on the radio, but they've never been in the same place, in the same room.
Oh my God. Oh
It's
my
crazy.
God. Wait.
We got to make it
Yeah.
happen.
They never shared a scene. Right, that's it then. It's Wade and Tom.
That's it, the Buddy Cop, a TV show, and we call it Donut Lord. And watch the money come in.
Oh,
Watch
the
the money.
Everyone listen to the pitch, guys. Everyone listen to the pitch we got here.
There's a lot of places we can go. I would love to see a show about young Sonic with Longclaw, make it entirely animated. I think that would be really
Yes.
cool. I think a Shadow show would be great. Tails,
Yes.
I'd love to see more of Tails. There's plenty of places we can go before we hit Sonic 4, which is in 2027.
Yes.
Okay, Sonic 3. I want to know what you're going to give it out of 10 and where does this rank out of the
Ooh.
4 Sonic things so far?
Okay, so I'm giving it 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Sonic 2 is number 1,
Peak.
and then Sonic 3 is number
Mhm.
2, and then Sonic 1.
And then Knuckles.
Oh, crap. Oh, I didn't. Oh, okay, so Knuckles is number 3, and then Sonic
Okay,
1
right, okay.
is number 4. There we go.
Yeah, okay. I pretty much agree actually. I think I would go 6 out of 10 as well, and then I would probably go 2, 3, Knuckles, and then 1, or maybe 1 then Knuckles. I'd have to rewatch them all actually. It's been a while since I've watched 1 and 2. Anything can happen, anything can change. But that's it for Sonic for now. We'll be back in 2027 or whatever.
Yes.
For Sonic 4. Thank you
Sonic
everybody
4.
for listening. If you're listening on YouTube and you enjoyed it, you can like and subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, you can follow and give us a 5-star review if you think we're worthy. And next week, we're rounding off the year. It's actually the new year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New
We're rounding it
Year.
off with the best films of 2024.
Woo!
So get your list ready, John.
Yeah, mine is ready.
Brilliant. And you too, you listening at home, you there, can send us an email, tell us your thoughts. Let us know what your favorite films of the year have been, and we will read it on the podcast and we will engage with it. And happy
Yeah, give us
2025.
your favorite films. Yippee! Are you done with your second?
Yes, I think outertimefilmpod@gmail.com. There you
Yes.
go. There's our email.
And you can follow us on Instagram at OutOfTimeFilmPod to see our incredible thumbnails from Zain Afzal, on Twitter for more thoughts from Tom and me, and TikTok to see edited clips, which are all also on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. And you can find links to that all in the description below. Thanks to Jones-Meyer for the excellent theme and Ronan Phillips for vocals as always. And I think that's everything.
I've got to go to work now.
Oh, dang.
I've got an 8-hour shift.
No.
I hope everyone had a happy holidays though.
Yeah.
Didn't say it last week on the Craven video
Oh,
because we
yeah,
were
we
too
didn't say
busy
happy
thinking about
holidays.
Craven.
Oh, yeah, we were craving for that. So.
Oh my
yeah.
God, brilliant.
Oh my God.
Top
Oh.
notch.
Yeah, I hope everyone had a nice time. Happy holidays. Here's to a new year. Take Raven.
Give nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye and happy new year.
Happy New Year.